Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Okay. All right. John, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah,
Please
sure.
stand.
Please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Here.
Supervisor Blazer,
Here.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Here.
Supervisor Messick.
Here.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. I need a motion from the board.
Move to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Supervisor Fuhr, who made the motion?
Bradford made the motion.
Bradford made the motion? I'm sorry. Sound alike. All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any comments from the public on any of the items? Probably should have gotten that sooner. Okay. Well, we didn't. Special presentations. All right. Present a proclamation of the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium regarding November 2023 as Homeless Awareness Month. So, yeah, let's see if we have anybody for the homeless here. Okay. I'll be up there. County of Yuba Board of Supervisors proclamation honoring November 2023 as Homeless Awareness Month. Whereas homelessness is a challenge that has existed in Yuba County, across the state, and throughout this nation, except San Francisco, for many decades, impacting the lives of individuals and families, many of whom come from our own neighborhood. Whereas Yuba County partners with numerous public and private agencies to develop solutions to homelessness that truly address the underlying situations for each individual who finds himself or herself homeless. And whereas since December of 2015, Yuba County and its partners have been rapidly implementing shelter and housing programs that are designed with the best practices to resolve homelessness. Whereas we recognize that many of these living on the streets are people from our own communities who fell into hard times or endured other difficult situations that carried them into the homelessness. And that it often takes the strength of the whole community to help them regain hope and independence. Whereas it is important to educate the public about the many reasons people are homeless, including the shortage of available housing for very low income residents, and to encourage support for homeless assistance service providers, as well as community service opportunities through mentoring and relationship building. Whereas the people of Yuba County recognize the homeless continues to be a serious problem for hundreds of individuals and families in the region, and that we as a community cannot stand idly by as long as this struggle continues. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Yuba County Board of Supervisors hereby joins in recognizing November 2023 as Homeless Awareness Month and encourages all citizens to be aware that many people do not have housing and need support from residents as well as private and public service entities. And I understand you have a presentation to do.
Yeah, I think the presentation will probably come
Okay.
in just a few moments along with Health and Human Services. But thank you to the whole board for all your support. Yuba County is a very strong partner with the Homeless Consortium in addressing our residents here that are experiencing homelessness. So very, very thankful to be working with all the other partners. So thank you so much.
Could you possibly remind us of how actively Yuba County gets involved and how many homeless, low-income housing units that we put in the past 2 years? Do you know?
I don't know that I can answer that number off the top of my head. As far as the partnership and activity, Yuba County supports the coordinated entry system. They have the HSP program, the HDAP program, ANF program, SNAPS. There's so many programs that folks get assistance through when they're experiencing homelessness. And there's just a ton of things that Yuba County is doing. They do it through our coordinated entry system. So referrals to those programs back and forth are constantly happening daily for folks. So,
I was trying to reach for the large amount of low-income housing has been put in recently, one in Plumas Lake and one
So the one in Plumas Lake, that's through Regional Housing Authority, and it's in partnership with Yuba County. And then the one in Linda is also a regional housing project in partnership with Center Yuba Behavioral Health. That's the project. So both of those, if I'm not mistaken, are 41 projects. Another additional 108 units.
149.
Yeah, with the total. So there's 108 of just low income or the affordable housing.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy.
Who we have next? California Court of Board. Boy. So do you have a representative that's going to?
Well, actually, being that there's only 2 of us in the office today, it's kind of hard, but I will step up there.
Which one? Okay. Thank you very much, Mary, for stepping up. County of Yuba Board of Supervisors proclamation. Recognizing California Clerk of the Board Supervisor Week, November 27th to December 1st, 2023. Whereas California counties provide many services that are essential to the lives of California, and the position of Clerk of the Board of Supervisors plays an integral role in the function of California county government. And whereas the Clerk of the Board performs many legal mandated functions that protect and preserve the rights of the citizens to an open and accessible government, and is a time-honored and vital part of local government. And whereas the clerk duties of record keeping is revered, their work among the earliest recorded on behalf of the public, and the clerks have long pledged to maintain their neutrality and impartiality of the proceedings of government. And whereas the California Clerk of the Board of Supervisors Association, an affiliate of the California State Association of Counties, is organized to promote the principles of good government, to represent the interest of clerks of the board with legislative bodies and other professional organizations, to encourage the development of professional growth and education, and to support the objectives of all regional groups established within the association. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the clerks of the board across the 58 counties in the state of California, and therefore be it proclaimed, the Yuba County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims November 27th to December 1st, 2023, California Clerk of the Board of Supervisors Week, in the recognition of the high level of services bestowed on the people of Yuba County and the people of California by the clerks of the board.
Thank you. On behalf of the 58 counties, each of them have their own clerk of the board. I've got to really say thank you to my board because all of you are really awesome. You're really good to work with. You make my job a lot easier. And also I've got to commend staff, department heads, all of them. It wouldn't work as easy, or it wouldn't flow as easy if we don't have great employees. So thank you for that.
How long have you been clerk of the board? How have you changed the face of the board? Walk in the office, whole new look.
So far, I've been the clerk of the board for a year and 2 months, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So it's been a challenge every single day, but it's something that I do wholeheartedly because it's something that I love to do. And I've got to commend my two predecessors, Donna Stoudemire and Richelle Ferris, because they were awesome. They taught me a lot of what I know.
Never dressed up as an M&M before. Thank you very much.
Out of the job.
Through the chair. Mary, I just wanted to say thank you. You do an outstanding job as clerk, and thank you to you and your team. So.
More comments from the board? Your key may be changed if you don't. No.
I think that Gary speaks for all of us.
Thank you very much. Okay. Receive the quarterly update. I think that's the next. Health and Human Services.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is John Corneal, the Assistant Director with HHS. And do you have any recommendations for how we should proceed without a slide deck?
Oh,
Sorry about that. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. So if we could start with Johnny Burke from the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium, and I'll work on the slide deck. He's got about 5 minutes for you, and then I'll follow up with a 15-minute presentation.
all right. Thank you. The Yuba motto, overcome and adapt.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, hello again, Honorable Chair and board members of the Yuba County Board of Supervisors. My name is Johnny Burke. I'm the Executive Director for the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium. Thank you so much for the proclamation today, recognizing November is Homelessness Awareness Month, and just would encourage you all to keep checking out our Facebook page as we put different posts up every day of different statistics, things that are going on with other partners in the area, just a variety of different things, just informing people of the work that's being done, including a ton of it in here in Yuba County. I just want to share just for a few moments today about the point in time count. We didn't get a chance to talk about it too much last time. I was presenting our local homeless action plan. Not sure if I had given you a copy of it, so there should be one on each one of your desks today. There's also a copy of our most recent point in time count that happened in January of 2023. I know it seems like a long time ago, but sometimes it takes a while to release information after HUD verifies it. And just wanted to let you know how we did the PIT this year and how that went. And so point in time count is required by Housing and Urban Development every 2 years to attempt to count every sheltered and unsheltered person that's experiencing homelessness in respective counties. And so we went out and we picked, I believe it was January 21st, a Sunday night. So we started going out Monday and asking people where they stayed that night before. But we didn't just go out for one day this year. HUD gives you the option of going out for multiple days as long as you're asking the same reference point, that snapshot time of when where folks were on that one specific night. And so on Monday, we went out in Marysville with groups of teams. And then a couple days later, we went out in unincorporated Yuba County. And in addition, the last 2 days of the week, we called people on our by name list that we have through our homeless management information system, asking them if they were still homeless, and if they were, if they had been counted yet, and not, if not, if they would do a quick survey over the phone. So we feel like we had a very comprehensive point in time count this year. It was assisted and aided by so many volunteers. We had over 100 volunteers, including a variety of folks from Yuba County, both from Health and Human Services, Probation, Sheriff's Department, all kinds of folks just assisting, going out and doing those surveys. It was amazing. The contacts that folks made on the street was amazing. We counted a total of 963 folks between the two counties. And of that 963, we had less than 30 that were what we call an observation count, which is where somebody doesn't want to talk to you. And so you have to just kind of do your best to describe them and count them. And so that low number is because of just great volunteers of folks going out and being approachable, being very kind and loving, and just getting to know people while doing the survey. So the number for this year between the two counties was 963. For Yuba County, it was 545. I showed this chart several weeks ago, I guess it was when I was here last, and talked a little bit about how the 2021 point in time count was a little different than 2019 and 2023 because COVID was happening and we couldn't go out and count. So our best comparisons are between 2019 and 2023, which you can see an increase. Yuba County went from 428 folks experiencing homelessness to 545. Something that we did different for the first time this year, I'll tell you about in just a moment. But as you go through that packet and take a look at it yourself, I won't go through every slide, but you'll see that the great majority of folks experiencing homelessness are unsheltered in our area. So that's still a target population, is that we're lacking in shelter beds. And our numbers, our ages, our homeless are getting older. And this is not just a local or a state type of trend. It's actually a national trend that there's more in the boomer generation that are becoming homeless. So the point in time count helps us to see a lot of those statistics to be able to target resources. And so you might find that interesting. If you have any questions when going over, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. The last thing I want to mention is we asked a new question this year because housing and urban development really only cares about counties. They could care less about cities for the most part. But we do, because we know in a bi-county area, we represent a lot of cities and towns within our bi-county region. And so this year we added a couple questions that aren't on the HUD survey. We asked folks, what town or city were you living in when you became homeless? And what town or city do you consider to be home? And so if you look, the two charts on the top with the blue head bar are for Yuba County. And you can see that the great majority of the folks that either became homeless locally or they call it their home are from Marysville. But we do have significant numbers in Olivehurst and a chunk of folks in Linda as well. And then a spattering across the other folks. You'll see there's Brownsville, Dobbins, Loma Rica, Plumas Lake, Smartsville are all represented with at least one person that we talked to that either became homeless there or considers that to be home. We thought this was an appropriate question to ask because oftentimes when cities and counties are trying to decide where to put funding and how to allocate resources, they really want to know, okay, is homeless happening within my city? Is it in this town? Is it in the unincorporated areas? Where is it happening? And so this gives us a little bit better snapshot of where people are becoming homeless and that it really is a countywide issue. And it also helps to inform where to target our resources and allocations for things coming up in the future. So that's a brand new question. That's one we invented. That's not part of the previous PIT counts and not something that HUD is concerned with at all, but we thought that was very important for our local region. So just wanted to highlight those things. I just had a few moments today. I'm very thankful to Yuba County Health and Human Services for giving me a few moments. If there's any questions about the point in time count, I can field them now, or you can feel free to email me or give me a call, whatever's easy for the board.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have a question through the chair. So you mentioned that you had your website that you update all the time. Do you have any social media too that you use?
Yeah, Facebook is where we're primarily putting all the things for
Okay.
Homelessness Awareness Month. We don't have a TikTok or Snapchat or anything. We're just not that cool yet, but we use Facebook. So there's a lot of users on there, and so that's our primary.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay. Don't think we have any hands raised there. All right. Thank you very much
Okay,
for being
appreciate
able
the
to
time. Look forward to seeing you all
adapt and
next time.
fill in.
You got it.
Whoa. We got a full house on Zoom.
Hi again, John Cornell, Assistant Director with HHS at Yuba County. Thank you, Johnny Burke. If I need to phone a friend again, I might reach out to you in the future. I suspect that Mary ran off to get the slide deck really quickly here. If we have just a moment that we can wait for that, then I can launch into the quarterly report for HHS for the first quarter of the fiscal year, July, August, and September. That might be helpful. I'm not sure how long it'll take, but.
We'll go ahead with the public communication here. Do you have two names? One or, okay. Speak in the mic and just, all right. Public communication, any person may speak about any subject of concern provided is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allocated for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. If you are participating via Zoom and wish to comment, please use the raise your hand function, or 9 if participating on phone. Please note, no board action may be taken on comments made under this heading. So our first one is?
Our first speaker, we have Tony Farley.
Who to guest? Hello, Tony. Okay, thank you. All right, do you know how to start it? All right. our next individual. And John, do you have a stopwatch?
Our next speaker, Jeff Chelsea.
Did somebody leave?
I have a card right here. No, Jeff.
Okay. So that's it. Any comments from the Zoom?
No raised hands on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Well, we're not ready yet. Okay. Want to go to county departments? We'll go out of order. All right. County departments. Item 538, Board of Supervisors appoint 2024 representative and alternate to serve on RCRC, Golden State Finance Authority, and Golden State Connect Authority. I need a motion to.
So through the chair, I just want to say I'm the current representative for the primary representative for the county on those three organizations, and I'm definitely interested in continuing that if that is the board's pleasure.
I would suggest that we continue with the existing people there that are active in it. So you and
I believe that Supervisor Messick is the alternate. Is that correct?
okay. All right. Is that a motion? We need a motion to have you as the regular representative and a motion to approve. Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman, if we can modify the motion to appoint and state the names.
Okay. Motion to appoint.
Motion to appoint.
Let's state the names.
Motion to appoint Gary Bradford and John Messick.
And the positions.
On this would be RCRC.
Okay. Gary being the individual, and then John Messick is the
Gary is the rep, and then John would be the alternate.
Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any questions from the public? We didn't get it.
Oh.
You want to vote again? Okay. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that took care of RCRC and Golden State. I assume the Golden State appointments are the same. Okay.
Yeah, they hold the board meetings back to back for those three organizations. So it's not required, but they do request that it be the same representatives for all three.
So apparently that vote will cover everything. So item 529, County Development Services, adopt a resolution authorizing the filing and execution of applications to the Bureau of Land Management. Okay. I don't think Mary's covering that. Do we have it?
Do a special presentation after we finish county departments?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
You're on.
Gotcha. Mouthful of coffee. Won't be the first time, won't be the last time either.
Morning, Chair. Morning, members of the board. Thanks for your time today. Let me get up a visual here.
Okay.
Hoping I did that right. Okay. Today, we're talking about a resolution to authorize the filing and execution of land applications for Hammond Grove and the Yuba Goldfields with the BLM. Just a very brief history on the process that enables these applications to be filed. In 1954, the Public Purposes and Recreation Act passed, and this essentially allowed the BLM that administers over public land to lease or sell public lands to non-governmental agencies, qualified, and governmental agencies, local and state. So I want to explore two case potentials for this. Hammond Grove in Browns Valley. I think we're all familiar with Hammond Grove. It's depending on what you talk to and what map you look at, it's anywhere from 30 to maybe 60 acres. It's on the Yuba River, and it's comprised of about 8 acres that is county-owned land, and then about 25 acres that is leased from the BLM currently through the same act, through the Recreation and Public Purposes Act. That lease is set to expire in 2024, so that's part of what we're exploring today with this application. There also has been some potential explored by the Yuba Water Agency for their education center, the so-called Yuba Watershed Experience Center. They've looked at up to a 15-year plan of development. It's all just potential exploration at this point. The majority of this development will be on the BLM portion of land that makes up Hammond Grove. Of course, the BLM land also is contiguous to the county-owned parcel to the north. The south end that is the BLM land connects the park to the Yuba River. So this also has the potential to align with the strategic plan granting the public water access. Just the image of the final phase potential for the Yuba Water Agency's Experience Center. Okay. Another potential case for the R and PP, the Recreation and Public Purposes applications, is the Yuba Goldfields. As you're aware, this is between the south bank of the Yuba River and Hamilton-Smartsville Road, roughly, and about from Parks Bar, which is the Highway 20 crossing of the Yuba River, to west about 3 miles shy. Linda, it's roughly 6,000 acres of land. It's a mix of public and private land. There have been explored 2 large plots of land that are currently administered by the BLM that may be potential for these applications. Of course, this also is on the Yuba River, so it also aligns with the strategic plan in granting public water access. So just a little bit about solutions and the applications themselves. These are some of the documents that are before you today. I'll keep it pretty brief, but the application for Hammond Grove is a land patent application. So previously there had been a lease. And so what the application for land patent does is it makes it essentially as a purchase with conditions. That condition is just that the county can make the commitment that it will remain for public purpose and recreation and/or recreation. It also will redefine some of the properties that have recently been discovered in a land survey. So there actually will be the contiguous land about a gain of about 30 acres. Also importantly, it provides the potential to explore the Yuba Water Agency Education Center because in just a lease, it's very limited on what sort of development can take place. With the patent, also known as a purchase, it allows the potential for more permanent structures to be constructed on the BLM land. For all intents and purposes, it essentially will be county land. And then for the case of the Goldfields, what this application will do is right now there's almost 1,000 acres of BLM land that is distributed throughout the Goldfields. What this will do is allow regulated access. So of course the goal for this land is again recreation, public purpose. You're aware right now access is limited at Hamilton Road due to lots of illegal illicit activity, continuous dumping. And so the goal here is to acquire this land through the RNPP Act application so that the county can regulate access, possibly solicit a vendor for operations of that. But without that lease, the county has no authority to regulate access to it. So just briefly about the supporting documents, I mentioned the two applications, the lease for land through the RNPP for Goldfields, the land patent application through the RNPP, and we're required to have a letter of notification to the field office manager with BLM local office that essentially notifies the submission of these applications. We also are requesting an extension of the existing lease at Hammond Grove that will kind of be our bridge the gap between when the patent will be processed and the expiration of the current lease. And then finally, the resolution, which essentially authorizes the filing of both applications with the BLM, authorizes the submission of the notification letter, authorizes the chair to execute the applications and the letter. And lastly, it certifies that the applicant county obligates themselves to the commitments, terms, and conditions as spelled out in the Recreation and Public Purposes Act as they relate to these applications. So that's pretty much all I have. I'm open for questions. If there are any, thank you for your time otherwise.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Nothing? Okay. I have one question. Is there, we can't lease that out to dredge it, can we? As a source of income? I'm just, okay.
In general, these are intended for public purpose and use,
Okay.
Not for commercial activity.
Yeah. Just thought I'd ask. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Very good. Okay.
If I could, through the chair, that the application requires this resolution be adopted by the board, so we need a motion.
Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Do you want a roll call? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The measure passes. All right. Mining was a good idea. Ordinances and public hearings. Go ahead. All right.
Actually, if I could, through the chair,
Oh.
we could revert back to public presentation. And I
Oh,
believe
okay.
HHS
All right.
has that.
I'm sorry.
figured out now.
I got lost. All right. We're going to go back to a quarterly update from Health and Human Services. Like we got the whole county on the Zoom. This still lasts for.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. John Corneal, Assistant Director with Health and Human Services. My apologies for the mix-up, and thank you to everyone for being so flexible. So we'll get into the first quarter update for Health and Human Services, July, August, September. Just highlight some of the events and happenings, goings on at HHS, a few different metrics that we want to share with you as well. Get this into full screen mode. A little better. All right, so we'll start off in public assistance with Deputy Director Jamie Bartolome, and there's 118 employees that she works with there. It's a very large group. First thing we wanted to start with was the upward trend in employment with our welfare to work participants. You can see the different months down at the bottom, 143, 159, up to 168 participants employed in September. The different industry sectors are listed over there on the right-hand side: healthcare, sales, transportation. The employment and training specialists in that area, they have a couple of different key things that they do. One of them is a job club that they host. All the participants go to job club and their employment readiness is assessed, and there's a bunch of classes that they take that help shore up their skills in interviewing, resume writing, and all these tangible aspects of actually obtaining employment. So that's one piece. And another piece is subsidized employment, where we have local employers that work together with Health and Human Services to, for the first 6 months of employment, we match them up with a participant that we think would be a good prospective employee, and their first 6 months of wages are subsidized by HHS. So it's really a win-win situation for the employee and the employer. We subsidize that first 6 months, and then hopefully there's a match, and they have a great employee that's already trained and ready to go when they start paying them. Next, we wanted to highlight the North Star Digital Literacy Program. This is kind of off the backs of the other digital literacy program you've heard about from us in the Child and Adult Protective Services Agency. That one was geared toward elderly and disabled individuals. This one is for our welfare to work participants, totally free. They're enrolled by their social worker if they show interest. They go through these classes here in this North Star program, and there's 3 different sections: general computer use. You can think of that as kind of application agnostic. It's just, operating systems and email and kind of your general things that you do on a computer these days. Then software skills, and that is primarily focused on the Microsoft Office suite, things like Word and Excel, and then Google Docs, that kind of thing. All those programs that we know and love so well here at the county. And then using technology in daily life, how to navigate social media safely and effectively, how to be aware of your digital footprint, put something out there online, it never goes away, that kind of thing. And after completion of each of these, they actually earn a certificate. They have something tangible they can hold on to, include with their resume packet or any job application packets, and present with that application to an employer. Here is the Veterans Stand Down. This is an annual event that HHS has a large presence at. And it's a great opportunity, a great event for veterans to come together and both be recognized. I know I've seen Chairman Vasquez out there before. And so veterans are recognized, and then a bunch of resources in the community coalesce there, and veterans learn about and have access to resources that they may not have known existed, or things that they already take part in, but it's all at a one-stop shop there for them. It's a really big event, and something that we do every year that we're proud of. Now we'll move on to the social services area. There's Deputy Director Tony Gordon, 57 employees in that area. And the first thing we want to talk about is the county self-assessment, which then leads into the system improvement plan. And this is a similar framework to what we've talked a lot about here at the board, the community health assessment, and then the community health improvement plan in public health. Same kind of idea, where you pull in, you do the first part, the county self-assessment, pull in as many stakeholders as you can that have an interest in the child welfare area. And then you do your discovery and your findings, take those and develop them into a system improvement plan. What are all the goals and metrics that we want to actually attain and measure to improve how we work in child welfare? So this is similar to that, but all focused on the child welfare area. It's a 5-year recurring cycle mandated by the state. We have to go through this process, and the state is partners with us when we do this. But one of the notable things this time around, our partners from the state mentioned this is the biggest attendance they've seen at any of the meetings they've been at. So, we really tried to pull as many people in as possible to get as many perspectives on the child welfare system, and we're hoping that will yield to a robust system improvement plan. Next, we wanted to call out some of the enhancements we've made in our visitation center. Visitation is a key component when you're talking about reunifying families. You've got a child in the child welfare system and parents, and want to get them together and visit each other so that they can be a family again. And we want to do it in the most natural environment possible. Like it says up there, it helps mitigate the trauma of removal and sense of loss. You want to minimize any of the trauma as much as possible for these kids that are being detained. And this is a really neat system where they call it parent-child interaction therapy. We've got the child and the parent together alone visiting, but somewhere unbeknownst to the child, there's a therapist able to watch the visitation session, and through a little earpiece with the parent, they can coach them on positive parenting techniques as these things are happening in real time. So here's a situation that's coming up. This is how you need to handle this as it's happening. It's a really neat kind of coalescence of the therapist's skill set and technology all together to yield the best results for these kids and these families. Another section to call out is our in-home supportive services applications. So if you guys are aware of the IHSS program, it's a detailed and intensive application process. And the state mandates that these applications be processed in 90 days. So somebody applies within 90 days, we have to process this application. And statewide, you'll find about 90% of the applications are processed within that 90-day time frame. But in Yuba County, all of them have been processed in that 90-day time frame. So 100%. And because we get all of them done within that 90-day time frame, we have 0 that are pending outside of that 90-day time frame. And statewide, you'll find about 12 applications across the state per county that go beyond that 90-day application time frame. So Yuba County is number 1 in the state for processing IHSS applications, and we're very proud of that. And we'll move on to public health. There's our Deputy Melissa Shaw, Dr. Liu, 46 employees. We wanted to talk a little bit about what we call rapid rehousing, kind of the umbrella term for all these various homelessness assistance programs that we have. And through the first quarter, 26 households have obtained permanent housing under this rapid rehousing umbrella. So there's a lot of different programs that are involved in that, and it's cross-cutting across the entire department. You can see over here on the right-hand side, we've got, you can have families that are involved in child welfare, or it can be CalWorks recipients. It can be people with a disability that are experiencing homelessness, but across all of those groups and all the different programs that we manage, 26 households have obtained permanent housing through that, which we think is a pretty significant impact in the county here. And then on to our public health clinic, which is now open on every Wednesday afternoon. Anybody in the community can come and get any or all or any combination of these vaccines that are being offered. That's flu, COVID-19, and RSV. So that's a great offering to the community that we're happy to have open back up. We've already done 25 Tdap vaccinations there in that call out. And then the CHIP closing meeting, the Community Health Improvement Plan. We've talked a lot about that, like I said earlier. And this was a great finishing step to that entire process, a very lengthy, very information intensive process. A lot of different stakeholders were pulled in throughout the community. And we got a lot of great information. And now it's time to turn those things into actionable items that we're actually trying to improve the community through. And this was the closing meeting for that. There were 40 attendees, which is a really pretty good output. And we've got a dashboard now that is going to show all of the different goals and metrics that we're trying to hit with this improvement process. And that page, you'll likely see that in our next quarterly update, but that page is almost ready to be pushed to the public, and you'll be able to follow along as our public health department moves toward actioning these different goals. And finally, we're to the department-wide updates in the administration and finance division. There's the 53 employees that I work with. And this, we wanted to talk about our department-wide shelter activation exercise. This was a great event. And so we took a full day and took all of our staff and went out to the fairgrounds as if there had been a large-scale disaster event, but did a training there. Fantastic exercise. It was a great, just inclusive environment where everybody could ask questions and learn without all of the baggage associated with an actual large-scale disaster event happening at the time. Normally, there's a lot of on-the-job training, and everybody has to ask these questions and learn how to run a shelter, while there's actually people in need that are actively evacuated from a disaster event. But we ran a mock event and were able to learn a whole bunch of things, how to set these different cots up. We were able to iron out some different details with the registration up at the front and make that as smooth as possible. We even kind of were able to simulate sort of that pressure of a lot of people arriving at once. We had one of the groups act as evacuees that were actively coming into the building. But everybody was really impressed with this event. The state has asked the lead of Ben Martin, the lead who ran this event, to present to the rest of the state at a disaster meeting and present this as a best practice for other counties to follow. And in the future, I think you'll hear at least one more update about this department-wide shelter activation exercise. We're really proud of it. Team did a great job. And here we're into some of the different events that we've attended in the past quarter here. We've got the Back to School Bash. This is the first year, I think, that this was formalized. MJUSD and YCOE partnered together to bring as many different resources together. You can see backpack giveaways, and we were doing some hydration education for kids, and there were a whole bunch of different resources and giveaways. And this actually started back in 2018. And I think one of the local barbershops, Uppercut, had been doing free haircuts for kids right before school. And so now it's turned into a big event, and it's a great thing to be a part of, and a great thing for the community to develop some positive buzz around going back to school for kids. And here we have a bike rodeo that took place at Yuba Gardens. And I had never heard of a bike rodeo. You know, it conjures up whatever images. I could go into that later, but it was a really neat event. It's got the kids out at lunchtime. There was an obstacle course set up with to practice bicycle safety out on the roadways, and then we were able to provide 150 bike helmets to different students, which is super exciting to have kids excited to learn about bike safety and then wear the actual safety gear to keep themselves safe. And then here we have another update about Blue Zones. This was kind of our capstone project here for the Blue Zones certification. we had our party. I think you heard about our actual certification last time, but this was our launch event for all of our staff out at our office. Lots of fun stuff. Everybody brought big outdoor games. You can see the Django falling over in mid piece right here. They had the smoothie bike. Everybody brought a picnic lunch. Blue Zones was on site. It's a lot of fun. It is not the end of our Blue Zones activities. In fact, we have a different activity coming up tomorrow, and we plan to continue to push the Blue Zones message and as many of those activities as we can at HHS to keep that sort of employee first focused mindset. And we have a whole maintenance plan associated with our Blue Zones effort as well. And finally, this is like our last kind of potpourri page, just to show you all the different things we've done out in the community. There's a whole listing of them, lots of different photos. We had presences at all these different outreach events, water safety event at the library, the Beal Leadership Luncheon, the Peach Festival, OPUD Splash Safely in December. This is the big spring and summer. Those 2 quarters are kind of the most active for our community outreach. It's nice weather outside. There's lots of events being held, lots of opportunities for HHS to get out into the community. So you'll likely see a tick down in that in the future, the upcoming quarters, but that gives us an opportunity to focus more on internal communication and things with our staff as well. So it's not a lost opportunity. And that is my last slide. I'm happy to help with any questions that anybody has.
Any questions for the board?
Through the chair, it's not a question, but I think we've been really fortunate to have Blue Zones in the area. It's a 5-year program, or they're maybe 1 or 2 years in at this point, I think. So these are great programs that you're running out there, but as far as keeping them going after Blue Zones is gone, I imagine that's just part of the whole program, right?
It is, yeah. That's one of the boxes to check in your Blue Zone certification, is to have a maintenance plan. We've got a little maintenance statement and then a plan associated with that. And then we've actually picked out a few different metrics to measure. I don't have those committed to memory right now, but we want to measure the impact that this Blue Zone certification has made. So that's yet another layer of wanting to continue this going. If we see a positive impact associated with Blue Zone certification, we're going to want to continue to do it.
And the reporting on that is just back into your departments, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good. It's really good. Thanks.
On your continuing community outreach, I'll remind you, December 9th is the Olivehurst parade, so you guys can come out there.
We're doing some communication on that right now.
Through the chair, I had a comment too. I just wanted to thank you and your whole staff, because a few months ago reached out to Jamie about having an IHSS thing up in Dobbins, and you guys just took over. I don't know who all to thank, but I had a text the other day from Margaret Fowler, happy to report that 13 people showed up for IHSS care provider training that I was holding up here in Dobbins through the county. Hope that there's that many more providers in the area, and I'm hoping that the county sees the folks up here want this kind of opportunity. So I just want to thank you guys for whoever did that, getting it all taken care of, and that's quite a turnout for such a small community up there. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Well put together, and it shows that we're getting involved at all levels. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. I think we're into ordinance and public hearings. Is that correct? Yeah.
If you challenge in court the action or decision of the Yuba County Board of Supervisors regarding a zoning, planning, land use, or environmental protection matter made at any hearing described in this notice, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at such hearing, or in written correspondence delivered to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors at or prior to such hearing. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual or group.
Okay, item 546, and you're presenting.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Jeremy Strang with Code Enforcement today. So the item before you is I'm here for introducing a new ordinance that will add Chapter 2.41 to the Yuba County Ordinance Code, and it will establish the Office of the County Hearing Officer. Now, this item was before the Land Use and Public Works Committee back on October 24th, and they're recommending its approval. So the purpose of creating the Office of the County Hearing Officer is to address current challenges and inefficiencies that are associated with our appeals process and code enforcement. My written staff report goes into greater detail. However, for my presentation today, I'll just touch on the highlights of that staff. So code enforcement's current process for appeal hearings related specifically to property maintenance and public nuisance abatement requires the department to use an administrative law judge out of the Office of Administrative Hearings in Sacramento. If you recall, that is different than your marijuana appeal hearings that your board hears. Those appeal hearings come directly to the full board. And that decision was made by your board because of the time-consuming and resource-intensive process required by the Office of Administrative Hearings, as well as their availability to actually have a speedy hearing. So issues that I identified in my staff report are that ALJs, the scheduling, the conducting of hearings, and the decisions that are received by the administrative law judges are time-consuming and resource-intensive, as I've said. Their availability presents a problem. Their calendar does not always align with what we need or our statutory requirements by ordinance. The costs are excessive. Administrative law judge services can easily exceed a few $1,000s, if not several $1,000s for a hearing. And although hearings are conducted in a fair and impartial manner, the judges oftentimes lack knowledge and understanding of our local issues. So these challenges and inefficiencies for utilizing services continue to exist for us, and which is why the driver of why we're bringing this ordinance to you. So to kind of get into the meat of this, your authority to create this ordinance comes from the government code, section 27720. The ordinance objectives are to create greater efficiencies, cost savings, and offer greater flexibility along with enhanced understanding of our local issues. By meeting these objectives, we will have greater alignment with the county's strategic priorities of delivering convenient and responsive services that are fiscally responsible. So here's what the ordinance does. It sets qualifications to serve as a hearing officer. It establishes how hearing officers are appointed, and that office sits within the county administrator's office. There's a few different ways that you can become a hearing officer. It creates a panel of no less than 3 officers. It establishes conduct of hearings and how witnesses conduct themselves. It outlines hearing procedures and requirements for the decision, including findings and orders. Another provision of the ordinance is that it states that the chapter constitutes an alternative to and does not supersede any other provision of law, including the Yuba County Ordinance Code. So in other words, what this means is there's nothing requiring that any matter that's subject to a hearing is heard pursuant to this chapter or by the office created by the chapter. The duties of the county hearing officer are to conduct those hearings that are delegated to it by your board. And that can be either by ordinance or resolution. So any department that wishes to have a matter heard by the hearing officer must first approach your board for approval. So in summary, this ordinance, again, creates efficiencies and cost savings for us, offers greater flexibility, and provides an enhanced understanding of our local issues. By adopting this ordinance, the county should see outcomes that align more greatly with our strategic priorities when addressing citizen concerns. And so I am recommending that you introduce the ordinance today. With that, any questions you may have?
Any questions from the board? No questions from the board?
I move.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
No, we need to open the public comment or the
Open the public hearing. And is there any questions from the public? Keep me in line. No questions from the public, so we'll bring it back to the board. I have one question: is the hearing officer? Is there any previous law enforcement experience, or what are the qualifications for the
So I can get into the ordinance and give you those, but in essence, the hearing officer will be an attorney. When it came to the Land Use and Public Works Committee, there was a requirement in the ordinance that it be a local attorney. We removed that at the request of the committee. So no law enforcement experience. They must be an attorney. Their years of experience. And then there's some disqualification issues in the ordinance that says if you have a bias or some other reason that's outlined, you would be disqualified.
Felonies. All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, we need a roll call vote because we need 4/5.
We need to close the public hearing.
Oh. Yeah, fail all the way around and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. All right, roll call vote, please. Mary?
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Messick.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. All right, correspondence?
The board may direct any item of informational correspondence to a department head for appropriate action. We received one correspondence item. It is notice from State of California Department of Water Resources regarding the 2023 annual flood risk notice.
Okay. Next item is board and staff member reports. Supervisor Blazer.
So Saturday was the Veterans Parade. We all were there. It was a good day, good weather. It's on a Saturday, nice crowd. It's always one of my favorite parades. Also on the weekend was the Swan Festival. That was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think they had a pretty good turnout. Generally, that turnout comes from outside the area, a lot of Bay Area people. I actually went on a swan tour on Sunday with a lady who was there from Santa Cruz. Even though I've seen all that in that area when I went out with the Department of Fish and Game on the tour, I learned a lot. I've almost become a birder because they knew that there's way more birds than just swans. So it was really good. And upcoming on December 1st, I believe, is our Christmas parade, a nighttime parade in downtown Marysville. Okay. What? It's the first Saturday, I believe. Is that the first?
Supervisor Fuhr.
Second?
You're next.
First Saturday.
Had a great trip. Costco, super excited that they're going to be opening. I think it's the day before Thanksgiving. So that's exciting. And then Dawn and I will be attending CSAC for the next couple of days to find out how we can coordinate with other counties to make our goals happen. And I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Supervisor Bradford.
Last week, I attended the Association of Defense Communities Installation Innovation Summit. We learned how we could better partner with bases in our communities, as well as how to support those bases, and in our case, support the airmen and guardians that are out at Beale and their families. In particular, some of the key takeaways are across the country, housing is a huge issue for military personnel and their families. Diversity of housing types are needed to support them. Education, the importance of education in the local communities, supporting quality education and opportunities for those military families. And also base resiliency, specifically around the areas of power and other utilities like water and wastewater, and public-private partnerships where the base can get those services in a resilient way through off-base providers. So it was very valuable. 2 community events coming up in the south part of the county in District 4. December 2nd is the Wheatland tree lighting in the evening and street fair. And then just Sunday, December 3rd is the Plumas Lake tree lighting in the evening. So,
Mr. Messick.
I just, again, wanted to thank their staff for putting that together up in the hills. And just great to have such a great staff with the county that you can just ask somebody something, and then a month later you get a text from one of your constituents that it was all handled and taken care of, and a great outpouring. So that's it.
Okay, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Karen O'Brien, who assisted me with a teen center and challenge, and is heavily involved in kid events up in the hills. And didn't realize it, but in 2006 she got her law degree. And it was one of two volunteers up there for a 4-year teen center venture up there. So all 5 supervisors, I'd like you to sign it. The Wreaths Across America, apparently Sierra View is not going to participate this year, but we do need donations to make sure that we have all the cemeteries covered in primarily Marysville. With Wreaths Across America. If you want to, you can donate at the stand down office in downtown Marysville. I'm getting some questions on the restroom for the PWMA Park, and I would like that if they can, if staff can let us know what needs to be done to bring that up to where we can have something for the kids in the Little League. And I'd like to also have staff come up with the actual cost of what we've replaced in that restroom over a period of years to kind of give them a perspective on why it hasn't been there. There's a new article in one of the Sacramento papers on the fraud that was involved with COVID funds in the billions, and we're going to research and see how did they manage to allow so many dollars, taxpayer money, to be given away without any accountability. Let's see what else. That's pretty much it for me. Oh, I want to thank the entire Yuba County staff that went to the Costco tour, and everything that's happening in Yuba County is because of our staff, because of our Yes to Yuba, and because of the attitude of the people across counters. And you really don't think it makes a difference, but when you have a Costco store that got run out of Yuba City because of the attitude of the people across the counter, thank you very much, because that's quite a present that Yuba County is getting on that. So, Kevin? Or
Council, if you want to go first, but at the beginning of the meeting, the chair mentioned that there's an intent to switch over to view only for live streaming in the future. Mm-hmm. So that would start on the November 28th board meeting.
Yes. Okay.
And I just wanted to make sure that the rest of the board was aware of that, and that council and I will take a look to make sure there isn't any additional action needed by the board on that.
The Zoom members on the screen now, you won't see that again for a while. County?
Yeah, now there is, it's so that the board's aware, there is legislation that allows the board to resume. I'm sure you guys are appreciating the pun there. When there's an emergency, right? And yet that can happen. That can happen immediately during an emergency.
Everybody's a comedian. Okay, Mary, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, well, we will go into closed session as with the items described on the agenda. But first, we will have a time certain 5-minute break. We'll be back here at 10:20 for closed session. Thank you.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.